everyone, welcome to another video for SimonsSaysStamp.com. Today I'm using this stamp from La La Land Crafts. This is Ice Skating Marci. I'm stamping her in Memento Tuxedo Black ink on some Express blending card. I'm going to be using some Copic markers to color her in. The caps will be shown in the top left corner of the screen, and I'm going to speed up the video here and add some music so you can see the entire coloring process. Alright, so Marci's all colored and I've cut her out. I'm going to be using a brush tip marker to go around the outside edge of the cut image. I'm using a Copic multiliner, but you could use a Memento marker as well, or anything that's not going to smear or smudge or cause the Copic coloring to bleed. So I'm going around the outside edge. This is the best way to get a finished edge on any of your cut out images. This goes for when you use watercolors or colored pencils or anything where you've stamped the image on white cardstock and cut it out. When you cut it out from white cardstock, you're going to have that white edge, and you need to turn it black so that it just looks more finished on all the edges around it. So after I put the black marker around all the edges, I decided to use some Distress Stickles. This is clear rock candy, and I'm going to be applying it to Marci's hat with a brush. This is just going to make it so I get a little bit more of the rock candy stickles in the areas where I want it, and I'm really going to build it up so that I have a lot of sparkle. The fun part about this particular type of stickles is that it doesn't alter the color of the image beneath it, so you can definitely use it on top of colored images or even die cuts where you want the sparkle and the glitter to be the same color as what's underneath it. Now I'm going to be using an embossing folder from Spellbinders. This is an Embossabilities folder. It has two designs on it, a design on the outside of the folder and a design on the inside of the folder. Because it's a thicker material, you do have to use a different sandwich for your Big Shot machine. So I'm going to show you what that is now. I'm just putting my basil marshmallow paper inside and putting it straight down onto my multi-purpose mat or platform with no tabs, putting the one clear plate on top and then running it through my machine. That gives it just enough pressure to emboss this design, and they're really detailed designs, so you really don't need any more pressure than that. If you have a different die cutting machine, you're going to want to look at the instructions that come with the Embossabilities folder. So after I had that embossed, I rounded the corners, and this is actually cut to just slightly smaller than a standard size card. It's 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall, or the other way around because I'm doing a landscape card. But I'm just adhering this to the front of the card, so it's a white on white tone. And I've taken another piece of that same basil marshmallow cardstock, and I'm using some soft pool ink from Hero Arts and a blending tool to bring that color in. I just wanted it to be really soft color. We're going to create a sky that's going to go behind Marci. So I'm bringing in that really soft blue color, and then I decided to bring in a little bit of Tim Holtz Distress ink in Salty Ocean. This just gives the very tip and the outer edge of this cardstock piece a little bit more intensity, gives a little bit more blue color. It turned out to be a really nice kind of tealish color. I then stamped this little snow stamp in some Colorbox Pigment Frost White ink. That stamp is from the Let It Snow stamp set from Lawn Fawn. And then I heat set it because it was a pigment ink and it was going to take a long time to dry. So I heat set it so that I could move on with the rest of the card. I took a small strip of white cardstock and I put it along the bottom edge. This is going to create the snowbank or the ice area for Marci to not so much be standing on because she's a little bit too tall for this piece, but to give it a little bit of ground so it creates a scene. So after I had that all cut apart and inked up, I put some foam adhesive on the back and mounted it straight onto the front of the card. After I had that in place, I went ahead and I took Marci and put 2 little foam squares on the back of her so that I could put her straight onto the card. If you want, you could put a little bit more adhesive on her feet and around her arms or whatever, but I figured just 2 pieces would be enough to keep her on the card. After I finished Marci, I decided to put a sentiment on the card, and I took some peppermint cardstock from Basil, it's just a bright red cardstock, and I stamped this sentiment from the Simon Says stamp set called Merry Everything. Comes in the December card kit. And I stamped it in Versamark so that I could emboss it. So I sprinkled on some American Crafts Zing White embossing powder and then heat set it until it melted. I then cut it down to be a good size, just a little bit around the edges, gave it a little bit of a ribbon edge with a V-cut, and then adhered it to the card with some foam adhesive. Now her hand was underneath, so I just pulled it out and put it on top. And that finishes the card. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys the next time. Thanks so much for watching.